everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel and another paper crafting video tutorial. Welcome to Handmade Holiday 2024 Day 2. We are making shaped gift tag ornaments today. These are 3 different shaped tags using new dies and products from the Pretty Pink Posh October 2024 release. Starting with the winter hat shaker dies, and we're going to use a little bit of the holiday wreath builder as well to embellish. I have die cut the components for the hat. So there is a solid hat die. I have die cut that from a crimson red Spellbinders cardstock. And then I used the inset piece for the hat and pom-pom to die cut the openings to make it a window. Then I have used that same solid hat die piece to cut a piece of acetate that I glued to the back of the window piece. I've also used the solid piece to die cut some pattern paper and another red solid hat. I'm going to glue the pattern paper piece to the hat piece, and that's going to be the back of my tag. Now you could use the pattern paper only, but I like that cardstock as a solid. It gives a little more stability to the tag, plus it provides a wonderful place to handwrite the recipient's name. Now at the top of the pom-pom, luckily I did not secure it too super tight. I'm going to be able to kind of pull the pattern paper from the backing, and that's going to be important for the hanger. I almost forgot to add it, you guys, but we'll get to that here in a minute. From the Wreath Builder die set, I have die cut some greenery, some hollyberry leaves, and some pastel pink berries to glue to the brim of the hat. I love using my dies in fun and maybe unexpected ways. By using these greenery pieces, it really amps up and makes this so cute and interesting. You can do as little or as much embellishing as you want. One of my favorite things to do during the Handmade Holiday series is to show examples of quick and easy, maybe a little bit more simple, as well as more detailed ideas. I would say today's project is probably one of the more easy, especially if you keep it a little bit more less embellished, I guess I should say. However, you can amp it up by die cutting all your pieces from white cardstock and ink blending them, or whatever you want to do. There are lots of ways to customize. So once we have our pieces, I am going to very carefully use the tip of my tweezers, and luckily I just lucked out. I didn't put glue at the tip of the hat. I'm going to make a little opening, stick a little glue down in between that back piece and the pattern paper, and I folded a piece of cut Lawn Fawn white twine in half, stuck the ends down inside, and then I'm using my tweezers to hold that down and in place until the glue completely dries. Now we're ready to make the shaker well itself. I love these thin foam adhesive strips from Simon Says Stamp. We are going to peel the backing off of both sides. So pull it off of the backing sheet, pull the backing off of your strips so that it makes it pliant, and then we're going to build our shaker wells. This is a tiny bit tricky today because we're going around the curved shape of the pom-pom. Take your time, work around it. You will get there eventually. If you don't want them to be 2 separate shaker materials, you do not have to do anything in between. I do want mine to be 2 different shakers, something different for the pom-pom than the body of the hat. So I am kind of piecing together the foam all the way around. If you saw my video a couple months ago where I did a shaker bat tag, I did the same thing with that because you're kind of having to work around a fussy area. I will insert that video right here for you if you want to see another example or a Halloween example of a fun gift tag. So I'm going to continue piecing my foam around the top of the hat. This is the only shaker tag in today's video. I know that in day 1 video for 2024, I did shaker tags. This is the only one. It's shaped, but I wanted to show a variety of ideas for shaped tags, pardon me, in today's video. So for the pom-pom, I did do a chunky glitter, and that almost was bad with the twine. It rolled right into my project, but luckily I was fine. I left it in because it was kind of funny. And then in the body of the hat, we're using a new Pretty Pink Posh shaker bead mix. This is called Berry Bright, and we're going to fill it nice. I like my shakers to be pretty full. I still want to see some of the pattern paper, but we're going to fill it pretty full. And then we're going to go ahead and place the backing right on our hat tag, our winter hat tag. So cute, so fun. This is one of the 3 new shaker bead mixes for this release, and you could totally make a hat to match any of those, and it would be amazing. Now, you could leave your tag just like this, and it would be perfect. I am going to embellish it a little bit. So this is the part where you can go as much or as little as you want. And this is also why I say that today's video is one of the more quick and easy, especially if you eliminate some of the extra embellishing. But honestly, you guys, even with the extra embellishing, didn't take that long. It's just some die cutting, assembling, and then basically a quick embellishment. I love that. No extra stamping really, no added ink blending or all of that kind of thing. I love taking the tip of my palette knife, rubbing that white opaque grip paste on to give my greenery some flocking. You're going to see the flocking make an appearance in all 3 of my tags today. My sparkle lacquer pen is running out. When I filmed this video, I had a new one or a new product in the mail to me, but I didn't have it yet. So that's why I was having to fold mine in half to get that out. But I wanted to make my berries nice and sparkly. And then I want to add a stamped word to the brim of the hat. 2 of my tags today will have a word, the tree will not. I think you could leave the words off all of them if you wanted to for a little bit more of an ornament type look. I think that would be awesome. I am stamping my phrases today on some of the Barely Peach, I think that's the name of this cardstock, from Spellbinders, using a clear embossing ink and heat embossing with red embossing powder. Now, on this first embossed or stamped word, I did not use my powder tool first, and it is obvious. That red embossing powder just made a giant mess. So I'm going to heat set this so that it doesn't go anywhere. I could have just snipped it off and thrown it away, but I am going to stamp it again and heat emboss for a much better stamped impression. Just FYI, did that off camera. Then I added glue to the back of the word, placed that on the brim of the hat, and our first tag is all finished. Easy peasy. Just as I was getting ready to dive into the second tag, I realized, you know what? I want some little red pearls. These are the ruby red pearls from Pretty Pink Posh. I'm using the smallest size to help embellish my greenery just a little bit. You guys know me. I love my embellishments. Next up, we're going to create the fringe tree. This is a 6-piece die set, 4 pieces for tree or trees. You can make different size trees depending on how many you use, the trunk of the tree, and a star for the top. I've die cut all of my components from the Eucalyptus Concord and 9th cardstock, and I'm going to glue them one on top of another. You can see by the different layers you add, you could have different size trees. These are so cute. Now for the back of this tree, I also die cut the large piece again, and I've die cut 2 trunks and 2 stars because I felt like this would give my tag or ornament a little bit more stability. I'm gluing the tree trunk pieces back to back, and we're going to glue the trunk itself to the backer piece for the fringe tree a little bit higher up above the fringe, and you'll see why here in a minute. Then we're going to glue the back to the front of the tree. At the top of the tree, on the front and the back, we're going to glue the star in place. So I'll put a little dab of glue and then just pop that star. This will make it so that it looks nice on the front and the back, but I chose not to do all the layers on the back because, again, it provides a lovely place to write the recipient's name. Once the glue has dried a little bit, we are going to take that fringe and we're going to grunge and rough it up. I'm just taking my fingers, pulling up that fringe and ruffling it so that we have this great dimensional tree effect. I love these dies. I think they are so clever, and I'm even going to do it on the back. But you can see we still have plenty of room for either a stamped or written, handwritten anything really on the back. Now it's cute as is, and we could definitely embellish it with any of the amazing pearls or gems from Pretty Pink Posh, but I am going to give my tree some flocking, and I went very heavy-handed with the flocking on this one. I started pretty light, and then I have an area where I kind of get a lot of the product along the bottom edge, so I went and added more in a couple other places to make it look a little more intentional, and I ended up loving the effect. So you can see where the big glop happened, but we're going to roll with it, you guys. We are going to roll with it. Now, the great thing about the opaque grit paste is it does dry very quickly, and I love the texture it provides. This would even be absolutely amazing on a card front. So here's where I glopped on a few more pieces, and I was like, oh, I actually really like this. And when it dries, it looks amazing. I just want to separate all the fringe pieces so that it looks very intentional. We're going to let that dry, and then we're going to take 3 different colors of pearls and decorate our tree. Now, I purposely went with a little bit lighter color combination. Obviously, I did a eucalyptus colored tree, not something super dark green. And so I am doing the ruby red pearls, but we're also going to do some pink and even a green pearl. I had considered white, but with the white flocking on the tree, I decided not to. The green is a nice light green color, and I loved how this turned out. I'm going to go in with my ruby red pearls first. You could also use the cherry red if you want it to be a little bit brighter. These are a little bit more muted, I'd say, but definitely do whatever you like here. You could even go all over the entire tree with different colors and make it very bright and colorful. I'm just adding little dabs of glue, using the embellishment wand, picking up my pearls and popping them in place. Now, up at the top of our ornament or our tag, that star is going to be the perfect spot to punch through to give us our tag hanger. So instead of sandwiching my twine or ribbon in between the 2 layers this time, we are punching a hole. We're going to thread through some gold twine and tie it into a little knot. I love the May Arts twine, and I use it all of the time for gift tags and things of this nature. By matching the gold twine to the gold star, I also think it helps kind of blend into that. Now, because we are going to be punching through essentially 7 layers of cardstock, 2 of the brushed gold, 5 of the green, I am using a Crop-A-Dile to do this. The Crop-A-Dile is, in my opinion, it's an essential tool in your craft stash. I've had mine for years. I actually had to replace it either a year or 2 ago. My original one I'd had for many, many years broke. Part of the eyelet setter broke in it. The hole punch didn't. And so I actually went to Michael's and got another one because I use it so often. I just really love it. You can see how it easily punched through all of those layers. And there is our tag, just like that. You can add a sentiment if you want to, but I honestly didn't feel like it needed it. Let's go ahead and build our 3rd and final tag today. This one definitely has the most pieces to it, but this is the amazing Holiday Wreath Builder. I know this is going to be probably one of the most popular dies in this collection. It comes with tons of amazing greenery for your wreath building. I have die cut the base of my wreath from the eucalyptus cardstock twice, and again, that was very purposeful, so I can put them back to back and it has a nice smooth back to it. And then I have die cut all of these greenery or pine branches from palm and eucalyptus. Now I make an error here and I'm leaving it in because I want you to see it. In my opinion, don't do this. Don't have your greenery going 2 different directions. And you guys might have been screaming at the screen already saying, oh no, don't do that, don't do that. Because when it meets down at the bottom, it's going to meet funky. You want all your branches going the same way. Now you're thinking, why did you leave this in? Because what are you going to do? I am only adding glue to the tip of my branches. You can see how I'm only adding it kind of to maybe half of it so that they stick up and I can tuck them and make this very full wreath. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull all of these off. I did not even throw them away, maybe one of them, but I am going to pull them off and I'm going to adjust this. You'll see this here in a minute that I'm like, uh-oh, this isn't going to work out good. Now, I cut way more palm branches than I did of the eucalyptus color, and that was on purpose. I just like the little two-tone effect of this, and once we add our flocking in, I think it really adds loads of interest. I contemplated what colors of cardstock I wanted to use longer than I would like to admit. So here's me pulling all of those other branches off. I'm glad I left it in because I think it's very relevant to share when things don't go maybe the way you think they're going to, and how you can fix and adjust and not have to actually cut anything new. I didn't have to start from scratch or anything. You'll see though, as I come around, how this is going to be so pretty now. I don't know what I was thinking. And again, you guys all probably noticed it. It was just me. Probably started this project too late in the day. Okay, so we're going to continue. I like holding anything small like this with my tweezers, adding the glue, and then putting it in place. I think these are beautiful. Several years ago, I did another video with a lawn fawn wreath, and they were much, much smaller than this, so on a much smaller scale. I'm going to tag it here in my video. But if you want to see another idea of how to use a wreath, it really was the inspiration for this one. This would be great on a much bigger package. The original that I did it's probably been like maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Those were tiny and worked really good on small packages. In fact, I still have them. If you've heard me talk about my tag collection from years gone by, I still have a couple of those, I believe, that are still hanging on in my tag box. I will have to share a picture of my tag box as well here one of these days. We may have to do a little handmade holiday wrap up and I'll show it to you. But definitely check out the Target dollar spot if you have a Target nearby. I can't guarantee they'll have it again this year, but they have these cute little divided boxes. I feel like they did this in maybe 2022 or 2023 for most of the seasons, and I love it to display all of my tags. This went together much faster than I thought. I also like to mention that sometimes in our head, we make it out that it's going to be a lot more work than it ends up being, and this came together super quick. You could use any of the branches and the leaves from this set to build all kinds of different wreaths. How amazing is this? Pop it on the card front, pop it on to a scrapbook page or an art journal. It's so beautiful. Now, before I decorate it, I'm going to again take my white grit paste and my palette knife, and you can see that I'm brushing it along the tips of all of those branches. Because I've only put glue on half of it, they stick up nice, and I'm able to just kind of catch those edges of this with that flocking, and it looks like a flocked wreath. I love it. It looks so good with that on there. You could use a heavier hand if you wanted to, for sure. Now I am going to put a foam adhesive dot in the middle of my die cut bow, and that does come in the Holiday Wreath Builder. Now I decided to wait a minute because I do want to add some fun little hanging tags here. And so we will get back to that here in just a second. There's also a circle die in this set, but I opted to take the ruby red berries and use I think I used the medium size to fill my wreath instead. So if you have some gems or berries and you want to use those, you totally could do that here. I like the dimension it provides. Or if you die cut your berries, you can always do kind of like what we did for the winter hat, where we die cut the little berries from paper and then embellish them with either glossy accents or a sparkle crystal lacquer or Nouveau crystal drops or something like that. So I want to fill in my wreath. It's very simple, very elegant. I think this is probably the most elegant tag in this set, and I could see myself making an entire set of these. I think it would be really pretty. You could even hang like a monogram from the bow if you wanted to, and that would be cute. I am going to use the Upright Greetings Christmas stamp set, also part of the October release, with the sentiment strip dies from Pretty Pink Posh. I am stamping these phrases on that Bearly Peach cardstock using clear embossing ink and heat embossing with the red embossing powder. And then we're going to use those sentiment label dies with the fishtails on them to die cut them and hang them from the bow and from the center of the wreath. I'm loving this Bearly Peach as an alternative to white or even ivory. Ivory probably would have been pretty as well, or like an alabaster color or something like that. But I kind of liked this soft Bearly Peach. It's almost like a Bearly Peachy pink. It's really fun. The red embossing steps it up a notch. You could also use a red ink if you don't want to mess with red embossing powder. I love Lawn Fawn Lobster Red. That's my favorite red ink. Once we have everything die cut, we are going to just hang these from the back of the wreath. Now, we want to hide a lot of the elements. So what I'm going to do is these are actually going to be glued to the back of the front part of the wreath. Remember, we die cut a backer for the wreath as well to just kind of clean it up and make it nice and perfect. And then we want to pop our bow. Now, I don't want the bow to cover up the words too much, so I might heighten the bow just a little bit, but we also need a hanger. So for this one, I'm actually going to wrap my ribbon. I'm using this little black and white checked ribbon. I think this is from Stampin' Up! Around the backer piece for my wreath. It's going to be sandwiched in between the two layers. I'll take my foam adhesive dot off of my bow, and then I will figure out where I want that to go and just press that down. I'm going to glue the two tags somewhat overlapping, and then we're going to glue those to the back of the wreath. So that's going to be sandwiched in between. Oh, look how cute. Then we're going to put glue on our backer, and we're going to glue these together. Now, it was a little fiddly, mostly because some of my grit paste was not all the way dry. If you let yours dry a little bit longer, then you probably won't have to fiddle with it quite as much. And there is our third and final shaped gift tag today. So let's take a look at all three of these finished tags. I also finished the center of this one with a large red pearl. I forgot to mention that. So we have our wreath, of course. This is the Holiday Wreath Builder set. So pretty. I love that. Our fringe tree, and of course our shaker winter hat. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for day 2 of Handmade Holiday 2024 featuring shaped gift tag ornaments. All the supplies I used are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.